Hello, everyone. Welcome to NorthStar community. So glad to have you here with me, joining in. Again, like we always talk about, if you're watching this, the assumption is that you're at some level of recovery, maybe just beginning, or you may have been on the journey for a while. But the important thing is it's worth it. It's your chance to get your life back, to be the real you, to be that person that you were meant to be, to living with purpose, with gratitude, with love, connection, faith. We go on and on. A whole lot better than all this survival stuff that we keep doing. It's just so easy to do because of all the hurt, all the abandonment, the child neglect, trauma in our lives. All these things have happened to us. It's easy for us to go inward and go down a destructive path that doesn't help anyone. So I thought this was kind of interesting. I'm going to read Psalms 89 to you. This is probably David writing it. Your love, God, is my song. I'll sing it. So he's the happening. I'm forever telling everyone how faithful you are. I'll never quit telling the story of your love, how you built the cosmos and guaranteed everything in it. Your love has always been our life's foundation. Your fidelity has been the roof over our world. You once said, I joined forces with my chosen leader. I pledge my word to my servant David, saying, everyone descending from you is guaranteed life. I'll make your rule as solid and lasting as rock. So David's happy. Everything's going good. Let's read Psalm 88, the chapter before this. Same author, David. God, you're my last chance of the day. I spend my night on my knees before you. Put me on your salvation agenda. Take notes on the trouble I'm in. I've had my fill of trouble. I'm camped on the edge of hell. I'm written off as a lost cause. One more statistic, a hopeless case. Abandoned is already dead. One more body and a stack of corpses. And not so much as a gravestone. I'm a black hole in oblivion. You've dropped me into a bottomless pit, sunk me in a pitch black abyss. I'm battered, senseless by your rage, relentlessly pounded by your waves of anger. You turned my friends against me, made me horrible to them. I'm caught in a maze and can't find my way out, blinded by tears of pain and frustration. How's that for a sudden shift in view of life? So 89, he's thanking God for everything and how wonderful it is. And 88, he's going, what in the world? What's happened here? And the reason why I read those is because I think it's good for us to understand the difference between a rich, full, meaningful life and a survival life full of addiction, which means full of destruction, full of faulty thinking, full of destruction, toxicity, whatever words we want to use. So again, you hear us talk about this if you've been on here much. A rich, full, meaningful life. That means you have purpose, something that's bigger than you. You live with gratitude. You have connection with healthy people. And again, our definition of healthy people isn't that they're psychologically or spiritually superior to us, but they have our best interests in mind. We live with faith, connection, purpose, gratitude. What's survival look like? We despise ourselves. We loathe people around us. We have lots of resentment, jealousy. We can't stand ourselves. We have to medicate ourselves. We have to be compulsive in our behaviors, or we have to get into into toxic relationships because of how we feel about ourselves. Addiction just doesn't happen. Addiction is a process, just like recovery is a process. For many of us, we grew up in homes that were just not healthy, whatever that was. It could have been as much as abandonment, which is much more subtle, but you don't get your needs met. You feel you're inadequate. You feel there's something wrong with you. The messages in your family are that. Of course, trauma, you see abuse, you are abused, childhood neglect, you're just not, your needs are not taken care of. And, one of the pieces of childhood neglect people often don't see is the unrealistic expectations of you as a child to perform tasks that are way above your age level. Like I've heard of stories, or I knew of stories actually, of people who were children who were expected to clean the entire house by themselves at 5 years old. I mean, it just wasn't realistic nor fair. So then there's a lot of condemnation, a lot of anger, and so it's a form of abuse or neglect either way. Sometimes we don't see those things. But so just think about it, just a rich, full, meaningful life, one where you have something to wake up for in the morning. You actually have people people you trust. The other big word that I think, there's two big words we can't ignore here for your life. In survival mode, it's one of the problems you had as a child was not only did you have childhood neglect, abuse, abandonment, but you weren't able to escape it. So that's a big piece of this, is you were immobile, is a big word there. On the other side, the big word of recovery and healthiness is reciprocity, where you actually have people in your life who treat you with dignity, respect, and love, just as you treat other people with dignity, respect, and love. Reciprocity is something that when we're in survival mode, we don't ever see that one, because people in our broken world are all broken. And so we're busy being very self-centered, harmful, shameful. We're not there to help each other. We're there to get our needs met, and it doesn't really matter anybody else. So think about being in a world where you actually have people around you that care about you, and their motives are pure. They just want what's best for you. A lot of us have never had that before, and that's why I was thinking it's so important for support groups. I love what Tversky says in his book, Addictive Thinking, when he talks about, the real purpose is for us to be good and decent human beings, not perfect human beings, not awesome human beings, but good and decent people who we treat ourselves well and we treat others well. And that's the only goal. And that's why we think NorthStar is so important for people, or AA. Any of these support groups it helps you to become a good and decent person. And the way you do that is, in your addictive state, you start hearing about other people who were just as addicted as you are, who started to do the right things. They started the process of recovery, and now they're down a road further, and they actually have rich, full, meaningful lives, or at least they're on their way, much more than they ever dreamt of. So here's the thing. In recovery, if you're starting out, don't look upon those people with envy or judgment, but listen to them and hear what they have to say, because they're telling you your story. Because addiction, whether we like it or not, as much as we want to see ourselves as wildly unique, the fact is when we're addicted, we kind of all do the same things. Our addiction becomes king or queen, depending on who you are, or becomes our master. We become slaves to it. We can't stop, and it gets progressively worse. So the beauty of recovery is addiction is one of the only diseases I know of where you're actually a better person because of having that disease than if you did never have it. Because people who truly recover, not just stop, but truly recover and deal with the hurts in their childhood, deal with the things in their lives, all those things, they're better people. They are better people than they were before all this, because they live with purpose and gratitude and connection. So there's kind of two ways. Think of put your life on a continuum. On one side you have wounded self, on the other side you have true self. So think continuum. You're not one or the other. So wounded self says that you are not worthy as you are. You are not lovable. If you really knew me, you wouldn't like me. So what happens is I don't value myself, and so I don't know how to set boundaries. I don't know how to select healthy people. In fact, I run healthy people out of my life. And then I get hurt a lot by people. So I come to realize that people are going to harm me. They're not going to help me. And my addictions are my master. If you go true self side, true self says, you know what? I am lovable. As if you really got to know me, you would appreciate me and love me. I have my flaws, but on the big end of the thing, I'm a good and decent person. Because I feel that way about myself, I am then more comfortable to set boundaries, to have purpose, to have goals, to live my life, to live my dreams, those kind of things. And because of that, I know other people can meet my needs if I let them know what I need. And then, of course, God becomes my most important part of my life. And I live my life in a way that's just so much better. So that's really it. So think of a continuum. Some of the days I'm down in the 40s, sometimes in the 70s, where am I at? If true self's 100 and wound self's 0. There's, days go and come. But the hope is that I can be more consistently living my life on the true self side. And recovery does that for you. Because remember, our goal is not to be perfect. Our goal is not to just be all-knowing and all that. What it means is for us to be a good and decent person. And then we become good and decent people. We become healthy people to others as well. And then we can have that life. And, I just think, again, just such a contrast where where David is writing to God and says, your love, God, is my song and I'll sing it, right? He says that. And then the one before that, he goes, God, you're my last chance of the day. I spend the night on my knees before you. Well, here's the thing. To get to Psalms 89, where you're praising God for all he's done, you got to do 88 first. And you got to be on your knees. You got to be begging God to get in your life, to forgive me, to help me forgive others, to give me the knowledge and the strength and the courage to get into recovery and stop the drinking, stop the compulsive behaviors, stop the toxic relationships, and start valuing myself. So think about it. Do you want to live as a wounded self, playing it safe, not taking risks, don't become vulnerable? If you don't want to be hurt, so you don't try new things, you stay isolated and angry? Or do you want to live with purpose, where you have dreams and you have hopes and you have interests and you have good people in your life and you actually do some of those things? That's really what it comes down to. So I'm telling you right now, for you, it's been this a while, we all know that a rich, full, meaningful life is way easier than living in survival. But it takes courage and support around us to not live in survival. So anyway, I hope that made some sense for you today. Think about your wounded self. Think about your true self. Just take some risks. Take some risks. And the way to do that is get yourself involved. So if you're in the area, we have our support groups on Wednesdays and Fridays at 6:30. We feed you. We have childcare, so we can really, we take care of a lot of your needs. We had tacos from Mexico this week. Everybody loves that. So we always have pretty good food. And so you come. You don't have to call, just come. And if you do come, you can dress casually or however you want to dress. I'd love to have you come. If you want to reach out to me, you can email me at csimpson@wgva.church. You can also call the church. It's 804-746-5081. And you can ask for Pam. She can help you out with information. So let's close with a prayer of serenity, and I hope you have a great week. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that Jesus will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever and next. Amen. All right. Thank you again for joining. And if you want to reach out to me, please do so. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great week. Bye.